Hello and welcome to another video. So we're checking out some Evo Blood today. We've got a decent lineup here as far as cards go. So Evo Blood prioritizing turn 7 mono. Turn 7 mono is just kind of insane. Garnet release gives us plenty of storm and plenty of viability. Mono's Evo lets us storm all our followers on board that are Machina based. Well, just in general it's to storm them all, but it does evolve all our Machinas through Garnet release, giving us a decent way to get lots of Evos going for that late kind of just end. You can just do 20 damage almost sometimes. Rule of Retribution is a big one here because if you have allied followers that evolved at least 5 times this match, you get to invoke it. So you can invoke this, you can evolve it, give it to 7 damage, then you can play mono. You can run people over with it pretty quickly, which is really nice. This deck is not perfectly optimized. I am running 2 Razor Recall in place of 1 Twinfold Grace and 1 Double Lamb, because I just don't have them. I don't have the vials for them right now. So I would recommend using those instead, although I've been testing this with Razor Claw, it seems fine. Honestly, any good card that's decently low cost that doesn't brick your hands is going to be fine. You can use it pretty easily. As far as our Evo engine goes, you're looking at using things like Metallic Bat, that when you restore your health, you get a free Evo out of it. Blooming Dancer, that Evos when you have an Evo on board. Oceanus, that Evos if you've done it at least 3 times, and so on. There are a bunch of these cards. Double does it with 5. Gale does it when he kills something that's already Evo'd. It's got plenty of options to Evo. It's not really a problem. Ruins Eidolon lets you search for your Machina cards. Red Hot Gossip also lets you put one into your hand, but also does deal with some board presence. And then the Twins just basically let you draw more cards, which is also just really good. So we're looking at a really solid lineup on Evo Blood, and this deck has been performing very well for people and should perform fairly well for you as well in the current meta landscape. I don't know if it's going to perform good long term. It does struggle against things like Ward Havens, so you do have to be careful of that. So we're going to get right into some games and check the deck out. Alrighty, for our first game here, we have a Blood versus Blood matchup. It was a decently solid matchup, I believe, for memory. Gotta kind of remember what I was doing in this game. I've just spent the last, like, 5 hours playing Shadowverse Evolve on tabletop with some guys, so bit brain foggy from when I was doing this. So we end up trading our cards. We're just going for stuff early here, looking for anything kind of small and early. Our search cards work pretty well, but we did need more Evo. We end up opening decently well, I think. Hypodermic Devil, we get Metallic Bat, which is great for us. Kind of opens up some lines of play. I don't think this was perfect, though. I think this was a slower start than I was looking for initially. I just have to remember. No, we didn't get Recovery, right? We did get Recovery. And then we got another Metallic Bat, yeah. So I did waste the 2 card instead of going for damage because they didn't play anything, which it was pretty fine, actually. We end up going for the double Metallic Bat into, I believe, Recovery, or was it 1 Remember? We went for 1 Reminder. Sorry. 1 Reminder gets us the proc here, sets us up nicely with some bats. Our opponent goes for Ruins of Eidolon. Kind of just makes a basic play here. I believe he actually, thinking on this match, I think he left very early here. Because we go for the Bloom Dancer, which was huge, because it puts us on 3 already. And then we can go for Devil, that gets a free one. Although I did make a mistake. I should have went for Oceanus here instead. Oceanus would have been the correct play, because it would have already Evo'd itself. And then I wouldn't have had to worry about this getting cleared. That just would have been the better overall play. So they go for their own Hypodermic, which is fine. They don't actually get the drain off it or whatever, so it's fine. So now we can go for Oceanus, which is great, and we also have another Hypodermic Devil, so awesome. So we go for the Hypodermic Devil. We've now evolved heaps, more than enough to do substantial damage when mono comes down. Plus, we're also getting some face damage in and some board clears. Can't ask for much better there. I did make a mistake. I shouldn't have played the Assembly Droid here. After playing a few more games with this, I realized that playing the Assembly Droids is typically a mistake I don't want to make. Because it's just not valuable. It's way more valuable for the mono turn than any other turn. So they go for their own Oceanus Shifting Radiance. This actually is a good way to show off both sides of the match too. We end up drawing a second mono. Actually, I think I just OTK here, for memory. Because double mono is 12 damage. So we end up turn 6ing, I think, without any issue. So I go for the assembly, we go the double mono. Then we can go, oh, actually I think I made a mistake and did the single mono, which doesn't end up mattering because we should be at 10 Evos, I think, right? Or did I fully just stuff this up? I think I fully stuffed it. Okay, I just fully stuffed this up. As you can see, we should have won at turn 6. Should have double monoed there. Huge error on my part. This was like my second game with the deck, playing Evolve Blood. I just made a misplay. I made basically 2 big misplays. Smaller one with playing the assembly drone. The 2 big misplays were the Hypodermic Devil and not just OTKing there with the, well, not OTKing, but, you know, ending the game there with an extra mono. Because we would have actually got the mono Storm proc if I had have played the second mono and then played Garnet. Like, if I had have just went mono, mono, Garnet, we would have just won it without any issue. Fortunately, it doesn't actually punish us too bad here, luckily. Our health was at a decent point, our board was in a good state. We could easily trade this off and we could just hit face for 6, even without the extra mono. So while it didn't end up mattering, we could have at least won a turn earlier. Alrighty, and next up we have a dragon matchup. This dragon matchup, not too bad, does a pretty standard Evo Bloodline, I believe, here for memory. We're basically just going for, you know, as much as we can early, like you saw last time. You're just trying to get as many kind of searchy Evo-y cards as you can. This was actually not a bad starting hand. All I did was swap out King. I was like, I'd rather try and get something better than King here. Because we can go Ruin for our turn 1 play, which gets us a Mechana card. Which we end up getting mono. Not perfect. Would have preferred Bat. Would have preferred Bat over mono there. But having a mono and not having us to get it later is still valuable. And we end up getting Bat anyway off our next play, so it puts us behind a little bit, but not crazy amount. It's perfectly fine. I actually can't remember, but I think we go Twins here, right? Yeah. So we're trying to set up for that turn 4 where we can go for Metal Bat Recovery Bloom for a double Evo. And I end up sacrificing that and not doing it instead. I end up just going for the Amaterasu there instead and just setting up a single Evo. Probably not the ideal thing to do there, but was fine enough given our turn. They end up taking out Tsukiyomi and going for the Dormant Dragon. Leaving up our Evo was a huge mistake, allowing us to go for a double Blooming Dancer play. Not that it would have mattered too much. They basically had to clear board anyway, or we would have just Evo'd, like we are doing here. Since Evo points aren't really that valuable to Evo Blood itself, going for a more face damage when you can seems to be the play. Since most of your Evos are through effects, and not through your Evo points. They do end up getting the board clear here though, which does mean we have to at least reassess what we can do. And we do have to deal with wards. Dealing with wards does kind of suck. So, got to do something. Fortunately, not too big a problem. We get Hypodermic. We can go for the Evo on the Hypodermic here. Looks like we are just going to have to go for that turn 7 win though. So we end up getting the hit on it, which is fine. We end up taking 4 for 4 health. And then we have a few options here. So we go for the Oceanus for the extra Evo. We could have also went for the double, which would have been fine. And we get to keep our 2-2 ward up, which I feel like was decent value here considering they end up playing a Storm. Just kind of meant they had to dedicate more removal, which only ended up healing me anyway. Plus we get the 1-1 and we get the summon, which I think actually puts them in lethal range, right? For memory, with double mono here, because double mono is 12. If I've already evoed enough to go to 10, which at this point I have. Plus the evo on that. That brings us to a really, really nice 22 damage on board. And winning us that game. So, while this deck does perform really well and is a very fast deck to play through, since you are typically ending your games somewhere in that turn 6, 7, 8 mark, ideally turn 7 is like the critical point. That's when you can do your big mono swings typically. But sometimes if you're lucky with your board states and early plays and decent curves, you can actually pull off things a little earlier. So again, I would drop both Razor Claws and run an extra twofold and an extra double. Otherwise, very happy with this deck. It performs really well. Not super affordable, but definitely a strong contender for this early meta. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys in the next one.